Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome to Peon Podcast, episode 22. It's crazy. This is Kevin, part 2. It's a continuation of Kevin Cannon's story. Kevin Cannon is my old chef at Barley Swine. Great guy. If you haven't listened to it, episode 1 is the episode before this. We sort of go through Kevin's origin, the origin of Kevin, and how he got to Barley Swine. And the end of that episode, he literally says, and then I started working at Barley Swine. So we're going to leave off exactly where we left off there. This is, again, a longer episode. Kevin's a great storyteller. Kevin's got great stories to tell and great insights. So I'm just going to let it run. Listen at your leisure. Like I said, this is 3, I guess you could say, in the saga of Barley Swine. I'll be back in 2 weeks with the final member of the Barley Swine saga that I'm currently going through. And but I'll explain that when that comes up. In other news, I got some final merch designs back. So that should be coming up soon. I'm not sure I can't remember if I revealed it in a past episode, but the running joke at the past 2 restaurants that I've worked at is, I should go back. I have a little small garden in my backyard, and I grow various things. It's just a hobby of mine, grow like herbs and plants and vegetables and stuff like that. I don't have a lot of success. I have a lot more success with herbs than I do anything else, really. But at Barley Swine, I used to bring in a lot of basil that we were using on the menu. And the joke was that it was coming from Peon Farm, because everything at Barley Swine comes from a farm, and we have a name, we try to support the farms and give them a highlight. So the joke was that the basil was coming from Peon Farm. So when I started at the restaurant that I currently work at, which is a smaller restaurant, I still do provide herbs, and sometimes I'll bring in peppers and things like that, just because I can't use it at home. It's too much to use. And also I spend more time at the restaurant than I do at home. So fuck it. Might as well just bring it in. So yeah, the joke is that I'm the farmer at Peon Farm. So all the merch is going to be a Peon Farm themed merch. I'm really excited for that. It's going to be like trucker hats, and, it's going to be all farm based and farm themed. I might actually end up wearing those hats, I'm not a big hat person, but fuck it. If I'm going to wear a hat, it might as well be a Peon Farm hat. So yeah, look forward to that. That's coming very, very soon. Finalizing all the designs and stuff, just making sure it all looks good, getting people's opinions, and then it'll go live soon. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Aside from that, all the typical stuff. I'm going to sound like a broken record, as always. Like, subscribe, rate. Even though, never really happens. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. But if you wouldn't mind, yeah, just share it, like, subscribe, download. Yeah, just download the podcast. That makes a huge difference. For some fucking reason, podcasting and like the podcast world of like monetization, it only really matters if your podcast is downloaded, which is so dumb, because most people don't download podcasts. They just listen to them. And sometimes your phone downloads it automatically. And then that's how I get, listens, is just by downloads. So I don't know, download it. That will help a lot. Subscribe to the Patreon. The story of Barley Swine is still up there. That's the most recent sort of Patreon exclusive episode that I put up. Bear season 2 reactions are coming up. I had to take a break from those because it was making me too angry. But those are coming soon. And then I got some, more Barley Swine videos also going live soon. That's at patreon.com/Peon Magazine. I got some, I got $3, $5, and $10 tiers. Any support helps. It really does. It goes to paying my editor, Mason, and hopefully me in the future. That'd be great. So enjoy this Kevin episode 2. Enjoy Kevin's stories. Like I said, I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode, but if you want to get that early, that's also going to be on the Patreon. Yeah, enjoy Kevin Part 2. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, then I started working at Barley Swine where...
But you said it was for Odd Duck, so did something fall through and then they...
No,
gave
they
you
were
Barley?
staffing for Barley so that the sous chefs
yeah.
could go start working on the new restaurant.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Mark and Sam could go start working on the new restaurant.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so that's when I got hired at Barley, Bradley was already there and Carlos was already there, and Parker. So there were 3 cooks that were there before me. And then the rest we all just viewed as sous chefs, even though if you just look back at it, they were just the line cooks that opened up the restaurant with Bryce.
Yeah.
But when you've got the chef owner and 2 other cooks, I guess when you hire more people, they become sous chefs.
Yeah.
So worked with them, and that
Did
was
you
kind
ever
of
eat
them.
at the old trailer before?
No, it wasn't even. I didn't.
Oh, so
I don't
Barley
even
was
know if
already
it was,
open.
I don't even know if the trailer was around. I think they had shut it down for that year.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Because
okay. Yeah.
if he was getting ready to open up that space,
okay,
where
yeah,
the
he
trailer
shut
used to
down.
be,
Yeah.
then I never got the opportunity to see the old trailer at all.
Damn. So wait, did you ever see Bryce in Barley?
Oh,
when
yeah.
You were staging? Okay.
Oh yeah, all the time, every day. He was working the line.
Oh, that's sick. Okay. Yeah.
No, he
at
was
that
working the
little pass.
line.
Yeah.
He was working the line, or he was expoing on the other side.
Wait, Bryce was working the line?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I worked the line with Bryce.
I've never seen Bryce work a station.
You've never seen. This is.
I've worked with him.
The
on a
epitome
station,
of
but-
someone doing their own shit better than anyone else can do it.
But
because
so
it's their
calmly.
shit. Yeah.
And just so calmly. Yeah.
Yeah, very
How?
Bryce-esque.
Yeah.
But also loud at the same time. He's letting you know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Damn, that's
Going
crazy.
in and out of the oven, oven open, whoo, getting in there, and you're like, oh yeah, chef's out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has those just big, massive paws.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd look over, and I actually got caught watching him plate a bunch of very intricate dishes that I had started plating my 2 dishes before he had started plating these 4. But I got caught watching him because he was so good.
Yeah.
And then one of the other sous chefs, I can't remember who it was, John or Sam, had to snap me
you.
out of it.
Be like,
And
hey.
then, yeah, he put up these 4 very complicated dishes to plate, and I hadn't done my 2 yet, and they were like, "Yo," and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, sorry, let me snap out of it."
Yeah.
But yeah, watching Bryce work was super cool. And then after that, we started hiring a bunch of people, and he was getting ready to open Odd Duck, and at that point in time, we were just doing the a la carte shared plates, where if you had 2 people, you'd just come in and get the whole menu, or if you were 3 or 4, you'd just get a couple of different things,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, man, we felt like rock stars back then. We would just come in to work at 10 o'clock because we had so much shit to do, and there's only a certain amount of burners, and we had to make all these purees and all this stuff that had to get done. So
yeah, that place was so crazy.
We had people prepping in the dining room.
Oh, I remember.
You prepping in the dining room.
I used to prep in the dining room for my stages,
and
or in that back area. And then,
but you'd be fighting for burner space, so you'd go in early just to get a pot and everybody. I remember it because all the purees started with julienne aromatics, whether it was onion, ginger, garlic, or onion and garlic and something else, but it was just cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. That's all you heard for the first 20 minutes of work was just people just chopping aromatics to get their puree started on the stove, and you had to be there faster so that you could get the front burners so that you didn't have to reach over the other people's burners.
to saute onions,
And that's when we started, you just had to go in, and everybody kept getting earlier and earlier, and it got to the point where Bryce was like, I don't want you guys to come in this early. You guys are coming in way too early. But we were all like, what else are we going to do? We don't have a life. This is everything.
Yeah.
So and then Odd Duck opened, and that's when like Bradley and Charles and I started working on like dishes for the menu with John.
Okay. Because they all pretty much shifted over to Odd Duck to go concentrate
So
on
we
that.
were doing fun stuff, still doing a la carte food. I remember the first dish I made for Barley Swine was salmon, and I did a fish stock funnel cake basically,
Oh, sick.
and then we made fish head oil and did tapioca maltodextrin fish head powder
Okay.
and some like peeled sun gold tomatoes,
Damn.
fresh cheese, and some like weird tomatoes. I can't remember. John did a lot of stuff, marinated the tomatoes and stuff, but yeah, it was like flaked salmon with this fish head funnel cake. It was
Damn, that
fucking-
sounds sick.
It was wild.
Yeah.
It was wild for sure. But I mean, we were doing all sorts of weird, anything that was weird and different. You'd
Yeah.
never seen it before. It was like, sure, try it. That's why we have liquid shiitake pasta with scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
When you say it and you've worked in a bunch of Italian restaurants or you know how to make pasta, you're like, what did he just say? Did he just say there's scrambled eggs on the bottom of that pasta dish?
Yeah. But it's so good.
It's so fucking good, though. I talked shit about that dish when Bryce put it on
yeah. Oh, did you really?
because I was like, this is so dumb. Who puts scrambled eggs on the bottom of a pasta dish?
Yeah.
And we're like sous videing these eggs. This is so weird. Picking it up in a double boiler, and like for like a week, I was like, "This is so stupid. I've made pasta before. I don't know how you make pasta. This is how you make pastas." And then, like, sure enough, I eat it, and I go,
God damn,
and
that's
I'm
amazing.
a fucking idiot. Clearly, I know nothing about anything. So
That's
and
how a lot of Bryce's dishes were. It's like it sounded ridiculous. I remember one of the first dishes I had, actually that same stage where I was picking the head the whole time. They were like, "Hey, well, look, we don't have a seat for you to sit down this time, so we're just gonna give you a bunch of shit back here." And they threw me back. I hate grapefruit, but they didn't know that, and I wasn't gonna complain. They gave me a Brussels sprout dish with grapefruit. I don't remember anything else that was on it. I just remember those two elements were on it, and I was
fried
like,
grapefruit or fried Brussels.
fucking shit, this is amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yep.
And I would never, ever, ever think about putting those two things together. And I would shit talk it, but then I had it and I was like, this is amazing. Why is this so good? It's just Bryce. I don't know.
And yeah, then working there. So that was 2013. So I did my last service at Olivia's. It was New Year's Eve service.
Oh my God, that must have been crazy.
And then the next week I started at Barley Swine. And, you know, I'm working with my roommate who's the pastry chef.
Sharing that small little station. Is that?
Crazy, yeah, sharing
Yeah.
that tiny little station.
Yeah.
And yeah, we slowly just started, you know, learning, working. Everybody was kind of cross-trained at one point. We all knew at all the stations, and it was fucking super sweet. I probably one of the most magical places I've ever worked, for sure. It was just a small group of a lot of people that wanted to be there, really wanted to be there, and really wanted to like make some really cool, good food. And we definitely did some weird shit, and not all of it was great, but
It was all interesting.
it was all definitely
very
interesting for sure.
Yeah.
And so after Odd Duck had opened, then we kind of moved into this tasting menu format to differentiate
From Odd Duck.
from Odd Duck.
So that wasn't all shareables and
And
things. Yeah.
most of it at first there was we did the a la carte menu and the tasting menu at the same time. Most
that
of them
small
were
space, crazy.
most of them were like crossover dishes, so they were on both menus, and they would just fire at like tasting portion or
Jesus.
regular. And that was like, I think we did like a week of that, and it was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do a tasting menu, and then from there it was like, there's no rules. There was no book. There was no like, this is how you do a tasting menu. So John just made some crazy shit. John, who was the CDC at the time, like, talk about palates. This dude had a crazy palate. His palate was so good. He could taste flavors, and the like flavors that he would come up with to combine together was just, you're like, no, dude, I don't know what you're doing right now. And then
He
you
had like
taste it.
long hair, right? Kind of looked a little bit like Robert, a little bit.
Yeah, long hair.
Where is he?
He is out in he was in Lubbock. I can't remember exactly where he is, but he is a teacher at a high school now.
No way, he doesn't cook anymore?
He teaches cooking.
Oh, does he? Okay.
So the school they built a brand new like whole big fancy cooking facility.
Okay.
And he is the teacher there. I don't
Damn.
know how or how he got into that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the shit.
But John was a fucking crazy guy. I learned a lot from John. His flavor profiles and like his techniques. You'd look at something and you'd be like, "What are you doing?" The first way I learned how to make butter, like making butter from scratch. Or hay cream infused butter. So we infused cream with hay and then made butter out of it to put that on some hoe cakes.
Oh, sick.
And yeah, we had to make the butter, and it was like, oh, this is how you make butter. But it's not just butter. It's barnyard hay butter.
Yeah.
It's barley swine. And you're like, oh, okay. I'm learning this like very basic like technique of making butter.
Yeah.
But doing it with a crazy weird flavor profile that like I never thought would be something that I'd be cooking with.
Yeah.
And then hay became a thing that we used all the time.
Yeah. That's what barley does. I mean, you guys do it great right now, but definitely back in the day did it really well. Like just adding like some little weird twist onto it, like
the wild card.
There's such is that what you guys call it?
Literally he's like no, this is good, but what's the wild card, Kevin? I'm like, what do you mean?
He's like,
what do you mean? I'm like, it's like the wild card. Like, what's gonna be the thing that people are like, I don't know what this is, but I want to know what this is now.
Yeah.
And I was like, he told me he had some. I can't remember the full quote, but he was like, you got to have, when you make a dish, you got to have something that is intriguing, that brings people in the first place, that they know that they want.
Yeah, they're comfortable with, yeah.
And then you got to have something that also, like, they think isn't going to go with it or shouldn't be with it, and then you got to have the wild card.
Yeah.
The wild card is the thing that they're like, what was that ingredient you said? Or, like, what was that technique?
Yeah.
And it's
they're like, oh, that's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Barley does that very well.
The wild card.
Yeah. I remember you did that with, I have 2 Copper Canyon bushes now because of you. And it's the wild card. It's definitely the big wild card because no one knows what it is. They keep asking you, wait, what is that? What is that thing? What is that? Because you did a tostada with like some aromatic butternut squash. And I remember I said to you, I was like, I never would have thought about putting butternut squash with fish. And you were like, well, if you do this long enough, you'll just put anything with anything. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you put the Copper Canyon on it, and it made it all all come together. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the Copper Canyon is one of my favorite herbs for sure.
Best.
And I had never heard of it before. Bryce planted it one year in the garden, and I was like, holy shit. This is now finally something that's topped basil after 10 years of being like, basil is my favorite herb. This is the best.
Yeah.
It's like, holy cow, this herb is so crazy because it has such a unique floral, like tropically like feel to it. It's
really?
Crazy.
I feel like it's like very smoky or like almost like barbecue.
Really?
That's strange. Everybody's got a different way of explaining it.
See, I used it to try and make it taste like pineapple.
Is that really?
It
made it taste so like Texas. I was like, oh, okay, he's going for like a Texas flavor.
Well, on that dish,
funny.
I don't know, but like later when we did the Outstanding in the Field, that the spaghetti squash that I did was like lemon lime syrup with like a shit ton of Copper Canyon.
The cake?
To try and make it taste.
Is it like an upside down cake?
Yeah. It was an upside down.
I think that worked.
Pineapple cake.
Yeah. Oh, that made it taste like
spaghetti
pineapple.
squash. Yeah.
For sure. That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah. I didn't know you used that.
My girlfriend doesn't think that it tasted like pineapple, but
no, I don't think it does. That cake did, but I don't think that
cake did. Yeah. The cake with the squash and the like concentrating of flavors. I don't know what it does, but it did for me. Either way, it was delicious.
That's funny. Yeah, because that's funny to hear that you guys had that conscious. That was a conscious thing. You know what I mean? I thought it was more of just a natural thing, but you guys were like, what's that one thing?
Yeah, no, it's the wild card. I don't think about it all the time, but every once in a while when I'm like, if I taste a dish and I'm like, it's okay, but like, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna make it that like people remember it? And it's like, oh, this needs a wild card.
Yeah.
This needs a wild card for sure.
Okay. How did you end up becoming the butcher there?
Natural progression of Charles and Bradley took over the menu after John moved on, and we all were kind of hired around the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
But they were both very ambitious to like be that guy.
Oh, okay.
And not that I wasn't ambitious, but I definitely wasn't gonna like step on anybody's toes because they'd both. Technically, I got hired before Charles, but Charles had staged at Barley Swine way before I even knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, they were both very ambitious, and we needed the next person to do that after the guy who was doing it, because it was Mark, and then Mark trained this guy Shiu to do it, and she was getting ready to go move on to do some other stuff, and it was like, well, great, it'll be me now. And because I had done all the line cooking at Barley Swine at that point. And it was
even work that little tiny grill.
Damn. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. You got to work the grill. You got to work the grill to be it. If you didn't work the grill at Barley Swine,
hot.
did you really work at Barley Swine?
That's true.
That little tiny grill. That was nuts because literally
That shit was right at the front, right near the pass.
every dish
So hot.
had something grilled on it. Whether
true.
it was like beet greens
That's
or
true.
it was all the proteins.
Yeah.
So you were just the guy. You were just cranking out. That's where the tweezers came in, and you were just cooking, little 1-inch cubes of pig face, or dropping these tiny little
I remember that.
0.75 of an ounce of
Yeah.
trotter in the fryer, and you were just
there
constantly.
was a
Grill
little
was the
fryer
only
where-
guy who
forgot about
didn't plate.
Oh, you were literally just sitting
You
there
were the
grilling.
only guy who didn't plate any food.
All
You
night.
cooked everything and passed it to the mid station, who was usually the sous chef.
Uh-huh.
That did all the they would cut the tiny little piece of meat in half if they needed to.
Yeah.
Or you'd pass the little grilled things to the cold station.
Uh-huh.
Maybe Saute had his own stuff and didn't need something from you always, but you
Damn.
threw some grilled beet greens over there to go on whatever dish he was doing. But there was a grilled thing on everything, and you just constantly grilling and passing and grilling and passing and grilling and passing.
That's awesome.
That station was nuts. I actually burned. I have aprons that had to get the tie straps because they had plastic,
Oh, shit.
nylon, whatever, in
Yeah.
the apron.
Yeah.
But I would be leaning onto the grill,
Oh, shit.
and the grill was so hot that it was
Yeah.
melting the plastic in the fabric. And
Yeah.
I had my apron literally fall off of me mid-service because the plastic was
God
burnt
damn.
through.
Yeah. That station was crazy hot.
Yeah, tons of pork fat, tons
Uh-huh.
of pork fat from all the pork belly grilling. You'd have to there was literally a towel next to the grill when you went in to go with the tongs to move the meat around, and they still do it at Odd Duck because they have to. It's the same grill. You literally have to wipe the rim, the whole edge of the door that opens because it's slanted, and there's so much grease getting that if you stick your hand
shit.
and you get that hot grease.
Oh.
Oh no, dude!
Fuck.
It happens to you one time, and then you never open it and stick your hand in there without wiping it with a towel first.
Holy shit.
Because it happens to you once, and then
God damn.
it never happens again. But that's that's a real that's the technique. You open the door, wipe everything so that the fat can't fall onto you, and then you can put your hand in there.
New logs and shit.
New logs, yeah.
God damn. That's crazy.
It was that was definitely once you worked the grill at Barley Swine, you were like, okay, I know what's going on now.
Yeah, yeah. And then so you got moved up to butchering?
Yeah, doing the butchering.
And you guys were doing full animals at that point, right?
Not whole animals. We would do small animals. So they would
goats
get
and
rabbits or they would get ducks,
Okay.
whole fish, but we wouldn't get whole pigs or big pieces of beef or anything, just because we didn't have the space. It was tiny.
Yeah, that place was absolutely tiny.
They would get whole heads. So that's where I learned how to butcher a pig face. Because sometimes you would just boil it. Sometimes you'd literally carve the raw face off of the skull and then smoke it.
Oh, just to get the cheeks? Yeah.
Getting up in the cheeks, the tongue out,
God damn.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did beef heads one night. I remember Mark came out on the line with an empty, cleaned beef carcass or beef head carcass, and everybody was like cheering. Everybody like made a fuss, and then they like literally called him back to come up to the line and hold up the fucking butchered head, because everybody was like, "What was that?" He was trying to show Bryce something, I think.
Oh yeah, but that
and everybody
restaurant's
saw
so
it,
small
and it was
that
so small that they were like, "What?"
everybody could
So
see.
then, yeah, he came back out and held this butchered skull up in the air, and everybody cheered.
That's how small that place was. Yeah, it was crazy. Like it felt very communal. Bryce is literally
all
right
communal
there.
tables,
Yeah,
chef's counter. We were right there.
yeah, right there within arm's reach of everything.
Yep.
It was nuts.
That was definitely a magical place. And then doing all the butchery there, it was great doing a butchery station because you're just like a day or a week ahead of everything. You brine the meat, you butcher the meat, you brine it, or you process it in whatever way. So you're always like a day ahead of the restaurant.
That's
so
cool.
where the restaurant is prepping for service that night, all the line cooks come in, they get ready for service that night.
Yeah,
They're serving the pork loin that you brine and sous vide yesterday.
yeah,
So
That's
you're
cool.
always just like a day ahead of it. So it's kind of nice to not have that like stress of like the timeline.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you had a slow day, you just got to stay a little bit longer and get it done, you know?
Yeah.
But there's not that like deadline of like, you have 5 hours to get this station set up
Yeah.
or you're going to go down.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. I used to work with, that's where Emma,
Okay.
the dishwasher that would come in every once in a while.
Oh, Emma. Yeah. Yeah.
So Emma was she would be the morning dishwasher when I would be doing all my butchery stuff.
Okay.
And I hate peeling shrimp, but I'm the butcher, so I have to deal with all of the proteins.
But so you
fucking hate peeling shrimp.
would get her to do it?
So I would get her to do it, or I would switch with one of the line cooks, and I'd say, "Hey, I'll make 2 sauces for you if you peel these shrimp for me." And they're like, "Oh, sure." Elise, she loves doing meticulous, tedious tasks.
Okay.
So she'd be happy as a clam. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll cut all the veg, I'll cook it, I'll puree it,
Rather than just
then
peel-
sit there and peel shrimp for sure."
even if it's just like a box?
At this
It is a
point,
nightmare.
in my career,
Uh-huh.
if I am peeling shrimp, it is because I have chosen to.
Yeah.
I will
peel at
pawn
home?
that shit. Oh, I don't eat shrimp at home. There's no way. I'm not gonna
Okay.
eat. Nah.
No.
I might eat some shrimp out at a restaurant, but
Yeah, you're not peeling it at
Goose
home?
and I aren't big like seafood people.
Okay.
I'll eat seafood like as a part of like a tasting menu, but if like we're talking entree here, I'm not getting the fish.
Okay.
And contrary to, I like chicken. I'm probably getting the chicken. A lot of people don't eat chicken in restaurants because they're like, I can do that at home. It's like, yeah, but if it's good chicken, unfortunately, it's not good chicken most of the time. But yeah, for some fried chicken, definitely going to eat that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm eating the pork chop or the steak or whatever over the piece of fish.
Fish, yeah.
Not going to be my thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate peeling shrimp. That's actually the reason why I hate peeling shrimp is because of an event that I had to do at Mirinda, the first restaurant that I worked at.
Uh-huh.
And it was a big like food and wine type event, not an actual like food and wine branded event.
Mm-hmm.
But they got spot prawns from California.
Okay.
They were frozen and they didn't defrost them. And I had to peel them
Jesus.
in a rapid fashion. And spot prawns have fucking gnarly ass fucking horns on the front.
Yeah.
And I left this whole situation like more fucked up than any shift I've ever worked where I've cut myself. Put them all together. Like I literally had
Oh, my God.
just Band-Aids all over my hands.
Fuck.
And I hated it. Head on. Gotta peel it this certain way. I also had to do when I was in high school for a similar but different event. I volunteered for this,
Uh-huh.
and I had to do for this Vietnamese guy peel the shrimp, but we had to peel it tail on.
God, I hate when they do it specific. Yeah.
Peel it tail on, but you had to take out. It wasn't like traditional peeled on where you have that like second piece after the little floppy shit.
Okay.
You had to peel it down to all edible shrimp, but still with the little flippy floppies on the end.
Oh, I've seen people. Yeah, I've seen people do that. Yeah, so you still have the little.
I'm like
hands.
17. And this is for like a big event, so I'm doing like 500.
Yeah.
Me and this other person like
That's so funny.
sitting at like a cafeteria table in some
Oh, God.
some high school kitchen because
Your
that's where
hands
they're
are
pounding it out.
freezing.
And it was
Yeah.
horrible. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even the worst part was it wasn't even the fancy chef from Vietnam that was telling me what to do. It was his fucking mom.
Oh,
So
shit.
his mom was sitting there
Yeah.
telling me, no, that shrimp, no good. Garbage.
No way. So you have to do it all again?
Oh my God, it was savage. It was savage. So yeah, I hate
Okay,
peeling
so
shrimp.
I get it. I get it.
I hate
now.
peeling shrimp.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Nah. That's why, how many times did you see shrimp on the menu at Barley Swine?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
And
Never.
when we do,
Crawfish. Hunter's shrimp dish was on for like a week and a half or something like that.
yes,
after I
you're
left.
right. You're right, but
And
that
then
was
it was
only
gone.
that was only
That was-
that was only for peas because peas are only around for 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
And after 4 years of writing the menus, I finally got a pea dish on the menu
Oh,
in
because
pea
it's
season.
So it's so hard to get peas.
It's
Yeah,
so as well they're here and then they're gone and then you're like, oh, I guess I'll stop
trying
working
to make,
on that dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we do,
Never.
it's
Yeah.
the last time it was pureed for a mousse for the pigskin noodles.
Oh no. You did some kind of shrimp dish. For
I don't want to
something.
talk about that one because that one's
the pigskin.
No,
The famous pigskin, or you're talking about the one that I'm
the
talking
fucking
about.
shrimp cocktail was a. Are you talking about that one?
Yeah, whatever we used. Remember, the only thing I did for it is I smoked the fish or the heads and then made them into powder, and then we used the powder like a ton after that.
Oh yeah, we used
I
the
don't
powder,
remember what
but I did
it
a
shrimp cocktail?
fucking shrimp cocktail where, the radish kimchi.
Uh-huh.
So if you blend the radish kimchi with sugar and vinegar, it basically tastes like a fucking cocktail sauce.
Okay.
So I can't remember what I was making, but I think I was trying to make like something like ma ploy,
Okay.
and it ended up tasting like
Cocktail
a shrimp
sauce?
cocktail with 0 tomato product in it.
Okay.
And so then I naturally like leaned into the shrimp cocktail idea, and we did poached shrimp, really nicely peeled. We left the little piece on so that I didn't hate myself and everyone else hate me. But then for service, the cooks had to take that cooked peeled shrimp, and wrap it with spiralized salted daikon.
No, I do not remember this.
So
dish.
it had to wrap around the
I heard
shrimp
about it though.
and
Yeah.
then dip it in the cocktail sauce, dangle it on the edge of those fucking
Yeah.
sherbet glasses,
Yeah.
and then garnish it.
Jesus Christ.
But the problem was, it's the last thing the cook does on the station every day.
Yeah.
So it's 5 o'clock and you don't have your shrimp peeled. Guess who's wrapping shrimp?
You?
Yeah.
At least
So at least it wasn't peeling it.
You were- yeah,
but
at least you weren't
You're
peeling 'em.
sitting there wrapping spiralized daikon around this shrimp.
Yeah. What, like
and we
3
gotta
per
do-
order or something like that?
No, it was
So we
only
did
one
some-
per person.
Oh, it was a tasting.
But still had to do 100.
Jesus Christ.
You know. Oh my God, it was the worst. Maybe it wasn't 100 because it was
Yeah.
pre-COVID days, but
Yeah.
it was a lot.
God
and
damn.
then after doing it enough, or
Mhm.
Alexa doing it enough, we both looked at each other and were like,
This is
"Ready to change it? Let's change it." But yeah, that was the last. That was the last shrimp dish.
Yeah, you don't do shrimp. Yeah.
No, Alexa and I, neither of us like shrimp.
It's
Neither
not
of
that-
us are like big
it's
shrimp
not-
people, so
yeah,
like.
I don't really get it.
If we get shrimp, it's gonna have to be like really nice, like
Uh-huh.
seasonal, whatever. We did the red shrimp. That's why we got.
Is that what it was?
It was red shrimp for.
Okay.
For
Valentine's Day. Was that what it was?
oh gosh,
I think it was a Valentine's thing. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then I remember that. I remember
yeah,
that.
which still isn't as bad as Charles's dish. You've heard about the peeled shrimp, the grilled peeled shrimp.
No.
So devein the shrimp, but leave the peel on.
Okay.
And then they piped an herb butter that also was like coconut oil, so
Okay.
it really solidified. They would
Uh-huh.
pipe that in between the shell and the flesh of the raw shrimp,
Uh-huh.
and
Holy
grill
shit.
the shrimp shell on
Jesus Christ. Okay.
and peel it to order.
Why?
So So because
Did it make that
the
much of a
shell?
difference?
So with the basically you'd be getting the smoke flavor without charring the shrimp,
Oh, I see.
and it'd just be
Okay.
basting in that herb butter.
Wow. Okay. Jesus
And then
Christ.
you're the grill guy.
So you got to peel the
Pull
shrimp.
the shrimp off, peel them, and then pass them over to saute.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
That was
That's insane.
definitely.
Yeah.
I wasn't working the grill then.
Yeah.
But Alexa definitely had to do some of those.
Woo.
It was, and that was on. It was on for a while. But yeah, that was a fun technique. Where it was like, holy cow, this is delicious, but man, this is hard. I think that's one of the funnest things about like finding where your limit on something is, where you're like, how much effort do I want to put into this?
Yeah.
Or is this just gonna kill me? Am I gonna hate doing this every day? And
Yeah.
when it gets to that point, then if you don't like doing it every day, then
Yeah. You got to switch it.
you gotta switch it up for sure.
Yeah. But at Barley, you guys have to take so much time to like research and develop it that it's like, it's not like you can just switch it and be like, all right, we're done with that now. You know,
It's
you guys
and it's a
gotta-
big enough restaurant that you
have to do the
don't
research.
just do the sort of like whimsy, put some words together and make it delicious. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make sure that everybody has the same experience, whether they come here 3 years ago or today. They want that ribeye the way that we cook that ribeye, or they want that shiitake pasta exactly the way they cook that shiitake pasta. And also, it's just like seasonality with the ingredients here is like, how it is. It's fall and summer.
Yeah, they like, just like you were saying with the peas, it's like peas are in season. That's like the spring, and it lasts for 2 weeks, and that's
It's like, it's so short
it's done.
period of time. So yeah, when you put the R&D into something and the ingredients are still there,
yeah,
ride it till the wheels fall off, and then once you start getting into that spot where you have to start subbing ingredients because you can't get those ingredients anymore,
Yeah.
and then you're like not even looking at the original dish.
yeah.
You're like, okay,
that's fun.
it's
You're like,
time to
it's
change it.
time to get
Time to
yeah.
change it.
Yeah, for sure.
But then things like that happen where the shishito tamale or tamal,
Yeah.
that dish was originally from 5 years ago. I went to Chicago to eat at Rick Bayless's restaurant, and they did a squash blossom tamal.
Okay.
And I was like, this is super cool. Like, I've only ever seen squash blossoms like stuffed with goat cheese and fried.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, tamale, and then we could be like, well, let's also do squash blossom and fry it, but let's fry it with masa inside. And then it became a sweet potato, some weird like sweet potato sandwichy thing.
Okay.
It was weird. But then summertime came around,
and you got shishitos.
and we got
you're
the shishitos, and then we put the shishitos in it, and then we put the ham over the copa over the top, and it was like, fuck, this
and now
is
it's
good.
like, now it's a staple.
And now it's a staple. So yeah, this
Yeah.
summer, literally, it's June right now. Shishitos are just coming up. A month ago, I bought a bunch of pork to start curing
Yeah.
and aging and drying so that we could have
Yeah.
the copa ready for when the shishitos are here. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's tamale season now.
Yeah, it's not summer.
Shishito season means it's
Tamale
season.
Yeah. And people come to the restaurant just to be like, well, you guys, when are the tamales coming? Yeah, which is crazy. It's just one bite. I mean, they are crazy good, but it's just one bite.
But that's definitely one of those dishes that I'm like, okay, until I come up with something better, I'm not gonna try and recapture that. Nah, just run
it's
it.
like-
It's good. It's seasonal. Let it be.
Same thing with the pasta. It's like, why would you change that? It's like
No,
it's
the
perfect.
pasta is signature because there's nothing worse than hearing about a signature dish
Mm-hmm.
and then going to that restaurant
And they don't have it.
and they don't have it on the menu that night,
Yeah.
or it's like they don't serve it whenever. It's like, and you're just like, literally, I'm not gonna be here again ever.
Yeah, I traveled here.
And you get that from the back of house side where you're like, man, we're cooking this same thing
yeah.
again, doing the
Yeah.
same thing the way we've always done it. I've been here for 5 years now. It's always the same. It's like, yeah, because when those people that give you the money
Yeah.
for your
They
life.
come here. Yeah.
They come here because they want that thing.
Yeah. Like Pasta Guy. The Pasta Guy. I was
Pasta guy asked me. He asked.
What do you?
He
asked for the
Eric
recipe.
no. He asked if he could take one to go.
That guy's a maniac. Just
So
give it to him,
and this was
you know?
a Sunday, and I was expoing, and I'm not normally the Sunday guy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not used to pasta guy behind me. And
Yeah.
when Eric asked me, I was like, no, not at all. Like this isn't gonna work. She's like, it's fine. I just wanted to check, and then I turned around and I was like, who is this person? And I looked and I was like, no. I've heard of it,
okay,
but
okay,
I'm
okay.
just usually in the back or like R&Ding on those days.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And so I turned around and I was like, oh, it's because I know what he looks like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I know what he looks like, but I was
He's
just
like a
like,
stoner.
he
Yeah.
would have the audacity to say, I want that at home. And I'm like,
Yeah.
in my head, I'm going like, there's no way that even being a very talented chef, you re-hate that plated dish or even not replated.
Yeah.
Like, but cooked for you, there's no reheating that.
No, I imagine him eating it cold, which is bizarre to me.
Even weirder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cold scrambled eggs and like jellified.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah, like
that's even
solidified
weirder.
pasta, yeah.
So no, there's some
Yeah.
things that are just the customer's not always right. Okay.
Yeah. you
Sure,
tell him,
man. And
"Fuck
you know
no."
what? He might have enjoyed the shit out of it, but I wasn't gonna let it happen.
No. Let it be special for
Let
him.
it be special for here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You come here and you get your 20 pieces of pasta, and then leave after that. Yeah. Not get the rest of the meal. Yeah. Fucking psycho. Yeah. So tell me, how did you end up being the chef there? Because
So
it's a long way between opening up the new Barley and that. But also,
Yeah.
so how did you have any involvement in that kitchen? Because Bryce designed that kitchen, right?
Bryce designed the kitchen, and I remember sitting at the Old Barley, seeing him like drawing it up on the
Really?
sketch papers and stuff.
Damn. all right.
So yeah, he
See those
designed. I didn't
sketches.
take any part in like
Sick.
designing.
Uh-huh.
At the time, Charles and Bradley were the executive sous chefs, so they had more influence on those sort of things. Bryce and I talked about the back butcher area. Like once the building was like made,
Uh-huh.
and we could see what was going. He's like, I'm trying to get these custom made sinks so we can fit a sheet tray across here and this and
Is
that.
that why
He's
they
like,
fit a sheet tray
oh
perfectly?
no, it's yeah. And there's a
Oh
reason
my
why
God.
you can fit 4 Cambros in that ice bath.
God damn it, that's genius. So he had them custom designed.
He had them made so that
Fuck
they
me.
would be that big. Well,
He's-
it doesn't sound like that. It's not. It's custom made, but it's just like a custom made for
Yeah.
a big restaurant supply maker.
He just got the
thing.
specific
the
dimensions.
specific measurements for
yeah.
it. Yeah,
But that's genius that he was like, I want to be able to have a.
At one point,
that
it
fits
was
that.
going to be that table was going to just kind of slant down into the sink.
Oh, really?
But I think either logistics or money made that not a reality, because then it would all have to be like one like giant piece, and I think that made it
Oh, that's
a
just
little
because
bit
of the
more.
health inspector.
No, I
Okay.
think as far as the like, if you do a 12-foot custom piece versus a 24-foot custom
I
piece,
see. Yeah.
you can either have a just stainless steel table on the edge of it or this huge custom made thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So there was some of that stuff, that fire hose that's in the back,
The famous fire hose.
that is
It's disgusting.
specifically for having the open fire that we have.
Oh, really?
That's why we have to have that
Necessity?
thing.
Oh, okay.
And he was gonna get rid of it at first, and I was like, "No, this is great to hose out these sinks, spray out these sinks and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure,
keep
yeah.
this big hose here, for sure." I put up all the alpha shelving in there,
The what?
all the alpha shelving that's up on the walls,
Above?
and in the server alley and in the dish pit.
Oh, okay. Oh, damn.
Dylan taught me how to do that, and so that was I drilled all those holes, lined those
Damn.
things up. So if I climb on it and it falls down one day, it's my own fault. But yeah, that was probably the most handyman thing I've ever done in my life.
Drilling into the brick
Drilling
wall?
into the wall and
The brick wall? Yeah,
setting the studs in and stuff. But as far as like most of that stuff, like I didn't make any of those decisions. That was it was definitely mostly Bryce. I don't know how much Bradley and Charles had like influence on what was going on there, but it's Bryce's restaurant, so he's definitely like,
Yeah,
it's his
gonna be
baby.
his.
He's gonna
Yeah.
keep it. I think the biggest thing that he wanted when he designed it was room to grow, because the old barley he got, I don't know what you want to call it, reconstructed like 3 times.
Oh, really?
Expanded, if you will.
Really? I
So
didn't know
that room where you
Goddamn.
where you hung out with Mark, that
Mhm.
had the office and the walk-in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that used to be the dead space, the nothingness in the back area, right?
Yeah.
There was no walk-in.
Okay.
Where that table that
Jesus.
goes into the corner was, that
Uh-huh.
was the end of the dining room. Then they expanded it, added the walk-in, added that office area, added that dish area,
Damn, they added all that, huh?
and then
Wow.
added on the other, or I think the space was there, but it wasn't developed out. So
Oh,
he
okay.
built it out and then built it out again.
Damn, he
and
built it
then
out for
cut
that.
the whole thing.
For that shitty landowner, like, because he didn't own the building, right?
No, he didn't own the building, but
Yeah. That.
I think he originally opened it with as little as possible,
Yeah, but
and then
yeah,
as his business grew and he had money to
put into
add the
it.
walk-in, add
Okay.
the things, and then just add another door. And
Yeah. Damn. So he wanted to expand. He wanted
he
to.
wanted to expand.
have
So
that
this
expand.
this was, and we also had the being stuck to get to the old bar. You had to go past the grill cook and down the whole line.
Yeah. And that was a
Same
very
sort of
small
thing
line.
at Odd Duck, where
Ass
the
to ass.
bartenders have to go all the way down to get to the bar.
Yeah.
Not at the new Barley Swine. There's so many different ways you can get around that kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
for
no
sure.
bottleneck.
No.
The only bottleneck is maybe right at that service station.
That and then
If you're trying to dump dishes off and all the servers are there too, but you can also go around the backside.
that's true. Yeah.
So there's
The
like
only
literally
bottleneck is-
always a loophole
is
somewhere.
where like Alexa works in the back, and you kind of butcher, and that's kind of the only one during service.
During service because
you
the
can't-
plate warmer's there and stuff. Yeah, but
and you can't go to the grill because somebody's there. But
Yeah.
that's the only place. Yeah. Yeah, that's
but
wild.
and then there's still so much space in the dining room for more jars
Oh my god.
and preserving and all that stuff up
Yeah,
above.
For
So
sure.
yeah,
that are for
there's-
display purposes only.
That was definitely display purposes only, not for consumption. Thank you, health department in Texas. You guys suck. My buddy in Maine, he used to be the butcher here at Barley Swine when we opened, and he would do like half his days were butchering, half his days were like working the grill. He told me that he's been open for a year, or open for the first year that he was open.
In Portland, you said?
In Portland, Maine. Yeah, it was during COVID.
Oh, wait, is
he's
this Wolf
been-
Beach?
Yeah, Wolf
Okay,
Beach.
nice.
Yeah, Wolf Beach. He literally, their health inspection, he did via his cell phone, and like filmed it and walked through, and
What?
like put thermometers in the cups. There's one health inspector in Maine,
What? That's insane.
so they're not worried about him at all.
They don't care,
He
yeah.
came down. He came down for a friend's wedding in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, dude, I go fishing and catch fish and serve it in the restaurant. I get fish from my friends that go fishing. It's like I just catch a
Jesus.
bunch of squid and serve a bunch of squid." And I'm just like, "Oh my god, that sounds so great. That sounds so great."
That's amazing. Yeah.
And then we've got health inspectors that have no idea what's going on
No.
and making us throw away product that they don't understand is perfectly safe to eat.
Yeah. It's insane. We had a health inspector come in the other day, and we have obviously dirty and like a bane with dirty spoons in it for tasting, and it was filled with water. I know that that's not right, but it was already filled when I got there, and it was clearly marked dirty spoons, clearly marked. She sticks her thermometer in the in the dirty water with the dirty spoons labeled dirty, and says, "This is a mark off because you're not supposed to have a bane filled with water." I'm like, it's just to soak the spoon so they don't get fucking dirty, or they're easier to
So
clean.
they're easier to clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's literally these are going to the dish.
They're going
but
to the dish.
They don't understand. I mean,
It's wild.
they have their own silly rules about not touching the ready to eat food. You have to touch with gloves, and it's like,
Yeah.
then
doing
don't ding me
Yeah.
on points for stuff that I'm literally telling you
is not.
is not ready to eat food. I'm going to cook this again. It's not ready to eat food.
Yeah. It's wild.
Well, how am I supposed to know that? Well, then,
I'm telling you right now.
I'm telling you right now. So
Yeah.
that's fun. I don't even know what the last health inspection that happened was because.
Oh, I remember.
Um,
I remember.
no, the one that happened with Hunter in the morning. I wasn't even there.
Oh, was that the last one?
That was the most recent one after you left. You're talking about the time that I ripped all the ferments down and covered all the ducks, or
no. When it was a little like a woman with glasses, and you like stalled her at the front door, and then we were doing some stuff in the back, and then no, she asked you something about the ducks. Some strange question like, you guys cook these to 145 or 165, and you were like, yeah, we cook them to 145. And she's like, you mean 165, right? And
I was
like,
like,
yeah, sorry, I meant 165.
165, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, something
We were
like
cooking
that.
Duck, well done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the one I remember. That was the last time I was there.
No, it happened in the morning,
Jesus, what a nightmare.
and
for
Hunter
her.
texted me.
Goddamn.
Dylan was there,
Uh-huh.
and the only reason I was freaking out so much was because I am the
kitchen manager.
the kitchen
You have
manager
to have
that
a
has to be
certificate.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Which is another
Bryce is the
insane
other
rule.
kitchen
Like,
manager.
What fucking restaurant has every employee have a kitchen manager certificate? It's crazy.
So the health inspector came through, did the whole thing. It was very lackadaisical compared to the last one that we had. And they thought that Dylan was Bryce the whole time.
That's perfect. Let him. Yeah, great.
It was like,
Awesome.
because I was like
They do
freaking out,
look
like
alike.
I gotta go to work to be this person, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that I don't get these points knocked off. And then she thought that Dylan was the Bryce the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you telling me that you didn't? You literally have no idea. I could have. Anybody could say that they're this person.
They're Bryce. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that it says on that. What's his name? I don't know, but I'm that guy. Yeah,
I'm the
that's
guy
me.
riding the tiger. Yeah, that's me. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever.
So
Perfect. Sounds good.
Yeah,
That's
a
insane.
whole shit show. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait. So how did we get onto that? We were talking about we were
Just
talking about,
health departments. All the jars.
all the jars. That's
All-
right. That's
all
right.
the
For display
jars, yes.
only. Yeah.
For display only. We
Yeah.
don't do any pickles or ferments.
No, definitely not. Don't vaxxil anything.
No
nobody,
kimchis.
Nobody does any of that.
No
Yeah.
kimchi.
No misos.
No
that.
misos.
Not allowed. And if you do it, it's definitely for staff.
Staff meal, yeah.
Staff meal. All for staff meal. But wait. So how did you end up being the chef there? How did that develop?
So Charles and Bradley ended up.
Because were they doing what you and Alexa are doing right now? Kind of
No,
switching on the
they
line and kind
were-
of things? Because Bryce wasn't there, right?
Bryce was still around. Bradley and Charles were writing the menu, and then they would both expo.
Okay.
But they would be peers as opposed to each other's bosses or anything,
Yeah.
which got kind of weird because Charles was extremely technical, and all of his dishes would be like, it's going to take 3 days
Put
to
butter
make
into
and
a shrimp shell and
pipe
shit like
it,
that, yeah.
and yeah, there's lots of work done before service.
Uh-huh.
And service is basically just put everything onto a plate for the most part.
Yeah.
The shrimp shell being the one exception. And then all of Bradley's dishes were like a la minute. You got to cook it super fresh. Like if
Yeah.
you can cut the chives to order, that's better.
Jesus. Okay.
Sort of mentality. So it was kind of cool to be a cook there because
Uh-huh.
you could learn two very different styles at
Uh-huh.
the same time.
Yeah.
Doing it on the menu, and I don't think the guests would be like, oh, this is a Charles dish or this is a Bradley's dish, but if you looked at the recipes, you'd be like, oh, I know who made this recipe for sure. There's all these measurements, and it's like X amount of time, perfect, everything's lined out for you, or like you got to do everything from scratch.
Yeah.
All this.
Damn.
So that was good. That was fun. They would write the menus. I would just be butchering, and then I'd like come up with dishes every once in a while because they'd be like, the duck dish didn't like use enough duck leg on the set, so there'd be like duck legs left over. So I'd put that on an a la carte menu.
Oh,
as a
cool. So there was
duck-like
opportunity
dish.
to do tasting and a la carte?
Yeah, at
Okay.
at the New Barley when we opened, it was a la carte and tasting again, with virtually no crossover. Some of it was at the beginning, but then as we got more comfortable into it, was basically like exclusive. If you were doing the tasting menu, it wasn't going to be anything that you could get on the a la carte menu. And then they both got some big opportunities. Charles, well, first Bradley got the mentorship, the mentor BKB or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a grant to go work somewhere he went to Amos in Copenhagen.
Okay.
So basically they give you enough money to go work there for 3 months.
Is this like a beard fellowship or something like that?
I can't remember if it's for the beard.
Okay. Or like a Pellegrino kind of thing or something else?
Something along that lines. I can't remember.
Okay.
I think it's called it might be the Beard Foundation, but
okay. So he went there.
So he got the grant and he went to go do that. And then his plan was to go to San Francisco after that.
Okay.
So he was going to be
who worked at Bennu?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And Charles was going to be the chef de cuisine. I was going to be his sous chef. And we weren't going to hire a pastry chef because Susanna was going with Bradley because she was the pastry chef. His now wife. Maybe they were married at the time. Can't remember. So many years have blurred together now.
Yeah.
But Charles was going to be CDC. He was going to do all the pastry. Basically, he was going to write the tasting menu, and I was going to just do the a la carte stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charles got a phone call giving him an opportunity to go be a sous chef at Mini Bar.
Oh, shit.
In D.C.
Working with Jose Andres, right?
And because that chef that was there used to work for Paul Key at Key.
Oh, I remember.
So
he used to be
Jose,
there.
Jorge.
Jorge. Yeah,
Jorge.
He loved Faith No More. And when I would stage there, he would just play Faith No More the whole time. Yeah.
So Charles knew Jorge, and Jorge
from
went
Key or something
from Key and just being smart people that can cook
and like use a lot of hydrocolloids. And shit like that,
So then Jorge went back to go working there, and then ended up getting Charles to come work for him.
Cool.
So now I thought I was going to be Charles' sous chef, and I was going to learn all this crazy molecular gastronomy stuff. And then, boom, they're both gone.
Within the span of how many?
Like a month.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. God
and
damn.
so then Bryce brought Nick up from Odd Duck, who was one of the sous chefs down at Odd Duck. Because at that point, Odd Duck was thriving pretty well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Tons of people. Like, it was hot. It was cool, hot to work at Odd Duck at the time.
For sure, yeah. And Sam and Mark were still running it?
Yeah, Sam and Mark were still running it. Well...
Or just Sam?
No. I don't know if Suerte was open yet.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Sam was still...
I only say that because I'm sure Dom might have been working there at the same time.
Maybe.
I don't know. But
maybe. But Nick, I'm pretty sure Nick knows Dom and Nick know each other.
Okay.
If not through passing.
Yeah.
But Nick worked up. He came up to Barley Swine. We both became the executive sous chefs. We were writing the menu.
Oh, and Bryce was still
the
chef at that point?
He's always going to be the chef owner. So technically, he's chef owner. There's no chef de cuisine. And it's 2 executive sous chefs, and then promoted Alexa to being a sous chef, just very basic title.
Yeah.
We don't do titles very well.
Barley.
Very casually with our titles. So she would start working on some a la carte stuff on the menu. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, I think she took over the Cisco order, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. While me and Nick did all the produce, and I ordered all of the proteins because I was already doing it. And he had all the farmer connections from ordering the produce down at Odd Duck. So that was kind of there. We got along. We played nice. Eventually, it just kind of got to a point where I really wanted to kind of be in control of everything that was happening there. Mm-hmm. So I really started focusing on just like trying to
create dishes.
be ahead of the game and thinking like, what's the next season? What's the next dish I'm gonna make?
Okay.
Just always having something ready to go. After 2 years, Nick had been being the executive sous chef. He moved on to go do some private chefing stuff, and then I became the chef de cuisine. Obviously, kept Alexa around, and it's been me and her now for like, gosh, I don't even know, as 4 years, 5 years, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah. And fuck the whole thing up.
It's crazy thinking about how long we've been out of the pandemic.
Just about a year technically, but I mean, we were in masks for like a year. My first year at Barley was all mask.
The first year, yeah.
There was like 2 weeks where we were out of masks, or it was optional, it was mask optional.
And then
somebody got sick, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're back to masks.
Keep doing this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you got hired after we reopened.
Yeah, I was one of the rehires. Yeah.
One of the rehires after we furloughed. Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point is when we decided that we're only going to be open
for tasting.
Well, at first it was just we were doing to-go food. So when the pandemic started, and we furloughed all of the hourly employees, we took all the food that we had in-house in general, brought it all down to Odd Duck, and we were cooking family meals for the
staff,
furloughed employees.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then started buying just, whatever sort of cheap stuff we could get to continue to keep cooking it. And that was basically getting the government loans and paying from that and like still feeding our staff and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think Sour Duck was the first one to reopen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then so I picked up some shifts over there, working the flat top over there, cooking burgers. Yeah, because they only had their couple of hourly. They only had their couple of managers.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job. I wasn't doing anything. Barley Swine wasn't going to open anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
tasting in your restaurant. Yeah.
Then I would do that a couple days a week, I think, just for fun. I would do 2 days over there and then 2 days making family meal at Odd Duck. And then I think they took the concept of we're going to do to-go food now because everybody can do to-go food again. Odd Duck was doing it first, and then we kind of sort of tried to figure out, like, what are we going to do that's Barley Swine that we can make to-go food for? How are we going to do this? So we kind of just came up with this, like, it's going to be a smokehouse, and everything's going to be coming out from the smoker, and we're going to make it kind of like a family meal, like, package. Where
you pay
you're
one
going to get a meat,
you're
going to get some sides and a bread and a dessert.
Okay.
And so every week we would just come up with a different menu, and that was the formula. Smoke a meat, do some two vegetable side dishes, some form of a bread, and then make a dessert. And that was what we had, and we would just go in, brought a couple of people back. And it would just be prep it and sling it out
and then
sling it out.
There was like one pickup. There was
a window.
Right?
It was a window of time. So it was like we had maybe like a 2 or 3 hour service.
Oh, okay.
Where we'd get it all ready and then just box it up and send it out. The front of house managers would have the times and who was coming to pick them up and all that stuff, and we'd just get it all out. They'd put it in the bags and they'd go walk it out. And that was cool because you got to see who your real regulars are, who like really wanted to support the restaurant. Was like,
that's true. Yeah.
Happy to be eating the food again, even though it was
out of boxes.
Nothing even close to what we normally do. But like you could tell the flavor was there, the soul was there
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the Barley Swine food is a lot based on like textures and things, and you don't get to put crispy garnishes on stuff when it goes into a box and it's going to steam or it's going to sit on top of a salad for 20 minutes. No.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Started hiring everybody back who would want to come back. Started hiring, you guys. And then
when was the decision to make it only tasting? Was that just because that's like a guarantee?
As soon as indoor dining became available,
you guys axed the a la carte?
There was no a la carte. We still did the to-go food.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a fucking nightmare on my end. But because they would add shit and you didn't even know it. So you'd have like a count of like, oh, I have 6 mushrooms or 6 like veggie boxes, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, Zach, do you have those 7 veggie boxes? I was like, where'd the 7th one come from? And like, because the host or whoever would add an extra one on and not tell anybody because if it's a busy service, and you're doing to go and a tasting. But what was the decision to just go with tasting menu? Is that because
basically
you
PPA?
want to be the only Texas tasting
No,
menu?
PPA.
What is that?
Price per person.
Oh yeah, so you can establish, you know how much you're making.
Every single person that's going to come in is going to spend at least X amount of dollars for the food, and then whatever on top of that. And then it also guarantees that you don't have people coming in and getting like a cocktail and a dish.
And then taking up a space, yeah.
And taking up the space for a long period of time. So as far as for us, it made sense because it was guaranteeing X amount of dollars, which at that point in time was
huge.
Really all that mattered was bringing money back into the business. So it's like you talk about fancy restaurants and all the crazy stuff and Michelin Guide and all these things that like make those top restaurants in the world. But at the end of the day, this is a business, and none of the business matters if you don't have cash flow and people coming in. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget about when they see all this stuff on TV and things is like, yes, we're trying to be very avant-garde and trying to like, make food art and an experience and this and that. But at the end of the day, we buy things, manipulate them, and then sell it back to you. Yeah. And you give us that money. So if you don't give us that money, we don't get to buy more things. The business isn't successful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, at the end of the day,
it's
a
basically
restaurant
sales.
is a business. Yeah.
It's
still a business. It has to make money.
Yeah.
And that was the most important thing after the pandemic.
Oh, for sure.
Thankfully, we had a good customer base and guests that just really wanted to be, were very happy to be able to eat the food again. So they were, we were pretty full. Yeah. And I think everybody was full. Everybody was just happy to go out and eat again.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't matter if I had to wear a mask on when I was at my table or not. Like,
yeah, people don't care.
Just let me out of my house at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
And then to-go food, and then it was to-go food and tasting menu all together. And then I think at a certain point it just became not worth it to do the to-go food because we were doing enough business in-house that we didn't need to have that supplement. Focus on what we're doing in-house for the guests that are in-house. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that when we stopped the to-go food, it was like, I already thought it was hard enough. And then you and Alexa were like, hey, now that we're stopping the to-go food, we're going to expect a lot more from you guys.
Make it harder.
We're going to make everything harder. And I was like all relieved, but also like sort of like, oh, fuck. How much harder this is going to be. But nothing was as hard as doing that, I think. I don't know. And I didn't even have the horror stories of doing the a la carte and the service, which I've heard from Hunter and Alexa and Brayden and yourself.
Yeah, that shit was nuts back in.
That's insane. I can't even imagine doing that. So, which I can't even imagine any restaurant doing full service
of both. Yeah, all in the dining. The only thing that was not like you couldn't do one person doing a tasting menu and another person doing. It had to be full table participation to do the tasting menu.
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot less of each ingredient. Like you didn't have to prep 100 of everything.
Yeah.
But you probably had to prep 50 of that, and then another like 20 to 30, depending on if it was a popular dish or not, for an a la carte portion. So that's 20 to 30 of an a la carte portion is pretty equivalent to like 50 portions of a tasting menu. So it's the same amount of work but split into extra things. It's not just one thing,
Yeah. God damn.
Because it's easy to make 4 quarts of sauce.
Yeah.
But if you need to make 1 quart of 4 different sauces,
that's true.
It takes a lot more time.
It's a lot more. Yeah. Did you notice like was it harder to find people after the pandemic who want to work in such a hard or like high end kitchen? So I know Bradley's having a tough time right now, right?
Yes and no. He's actually, ironically, he's nicely staffed and
nice, good for him.
And we do the switch. So when he complains about how understaffed he is. I'm like, oh man, yeah, we got so many people, and then now,
And now it's
I'm
the
sitting here and
opposite,
I'm down 3 line cooks, and Bryce is gonna expo on a Saturday and a Sunday, which is like
Jesus.
what? Yeah, next week it'll be Bryce expo, Alexa online, and myself online.
God damn it! What for? What?
Just because we're down cooks and
Oh wait, next Sunday you said?
yeah, next Sunday. I thought you were working.
I don't work on Sundays.
Oh, you don't work on
I'm off
Sundays?
Sundays. I'm work Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe I'll call you.
You might hit me up. Yeah. Damn. Okay. So you guys haven't like, well, yeah. That's
So
that's
yeah,
rough.
we'll start hiring, but I think Barley Swine has such a stigma of like you have to be this amazing cook,
Yeah, I definitely
and
had
you
that.
have
before I
that
started
like
working
feeling of like you're not good enough to work at Barley Swine, and it's like
there. I had that as well. Yeah.
it's really not as crazy as people think it is.
No, not at all.
Because at the end of the day, it's just you're just doing something. I'm going to teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not an impossible task.
Yeah, for sure.
It might be difficult to do, the quality or the volume, and I think that's kind of probably the biggest thing.
yeah, learning that
is
level of quality.
doing
Yeah.
the level of quality and still doing it at. I mean, when it's rocking and rolling in there, it feels a little turn and burny. Feels a little turn and burny sometimes, but
Yeah, when you hit that 8 o'clock mark, yeah, I can get a little.
not always, but
hard.
sometimes it gets to that point
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, it's almost more important for me to
Yeah.
just get this dish up
Yeah.
and onto the pass and out to the guests
Uh-huh.
than it is for the way that this leaf is placed on this plate right now. Figuring out that and figuring out people is like, you get some people who have absolutely no idea what's going on, and they're like literally like fresh out of culinary school
Oh,
asking to be like a sous chef, and you're like, you have no idea what's going on here
yeah. What do you
at
mean?
all. And then you've got somebody who's been cooking at some pretty good restaurants for like 5 years now, and they're like intimidated to come up and
That's me,
come
yeah.
stage, and you're
That's
like,
me.
it's not
It's not
that crazy.
And then-
it's not
yeah.
that crazy. I'm not going to yell at you.
Yeah. There was no yelling. Yeah.
This isn't the back in the day, This
Uh-huh.
isn't. We're just making good food. I
Uh-huh.
think for me, honestly, it's much more important to provide a work environment where cooks want to be
That's
than
true.
it is
That's good.
to make the type of food that people want to work for. Because like, there's a point where like back in the day, you worked for Bryce. When I worked for Bryce, like I didn't care what mattered, or I didn't care what happened as long as I was learning this new cool food. It didn't matter if I had to work 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours a day. It didn't matter if the task felt impossible. I was like, I wanted it. I wanted to learn it. I imagine very similar to like people wanting to work for Gordon Ramsay back in the day.
Oh yeah, they'll
You
take
go
anything
there, and
just
I
to do
don't.
it.
You can fucking tell me that I am the worst piece of shit, but until you tell me to get out of
Yeah.
your kitchen, I'm not going to leave here
Yeah.
because
yeah.
I want to be here and I want to learn and I want to say that I worked at the best restaurant. And I don't necessarily feel like that's a lot of people's mentality nowadays. I think work balance, work-life
that's-
balance is much more important. I was actually
For
joking the other day on the line about everybody taking these vacations and how I was like joking that if you enjoy your life, said you're never going to be good at life if you enjoy it. And it was very sarcastic.
Yeah.
And it was totally a joke, but it's like that was sort of a mentality of like, I work so hard to have all these nice things that I don't get to actually enjoy.
That's true.
Or you can enjoy life, but you don't have anything.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
In varying degrees of that, but it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I was joking. Like, I can't believe you guys want to take all these vacations. You should dedicate yourself to the restaurant, And it's like totally sarcastic, but rewind 10 years ago, I didn't go to my prom. I didn't go to my homecoming.
Yeah.
I didn't go to.
You missed a lot.
I missed
of
a lot of
shit.
finishing high school things because all I cared about was working in in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I don't think that a lot of people. Yeah, sure. There's definitely still people that have passion and drive and really do want to. But like, as you've been talking about, as I've listened to every single episode, shit is changing.
Oh yeah, people
This
are not
restaurant
down.
industry is changing dramatically, and it also kind of gets to a point of like, what really matters? Does being on S. Pellegrino's list of top 100 restaurants in the world matter, or does it matter that the dining room's full of happy guests and the employees enjoy working here and continue to want to work here every day?
Yeah, for sure. I think people are going in that direction too. I mean, I think as soon as cooks start to be attracted more to that or find restaurants that are willing to do that, I think those places will be full. You know what I mean? It's also hours. You know what I mean? At a certain point, you're young and you don't want to, or you're getting older and you don't want to work that many hours anymore. But at the same time, there's an overload of restaurants, especially here in Austin. There's just too many fucking places.
There's a lot of places.
And,
people
it's
keep
just what it
opening
is.
up new ones. And yeah, it starts to get tough. But again, it's like, for me, if I get somebody and they're good, I'm going to try and make them happy and keep them as long as I can.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I just, however many years ago, if you told your employer, I bought a one-way ticket back home, I have a family emergency. Okay, thank you for working here.
Yeah, they'd be like, all right, get out of here.
Maybe I will hire you back if you come back.
Yeah.
But like, thank you for, you're done. You don't have a job when you come back, but maybe I'll hire you. Maybe you just left me screwed and I'm never going to talk to you again. Don't care what happens to you.
Yeah.
Different mentality now, you know?
Yeah, now it's like,
I'm
okay,
definitely like,
you're on hold until we find out what happened and like,
figure out what's going on. I want you to come back because I've invested time into you.
Yeah.
You know things that happen that I don't have to teach a new person.
Yeah.
I can continue to teach you more stuff.
Yeah.
And grow you and expand you.
Yeah.
So hiring those people is tough, and I'm getting back into the spot where I got to start looking again for people because I don't know what's going to happen with some of these things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like fitting the vibe of who works in the kitchen, you know? You remember that one gentleman who came in, and were you working there when? Yeah, you had to, because you were hired after AJ's friend.
Oh, that dude. Yeah, the dude with like the vampire teeth and shit, and smoked clove cigarettes. Yeah, I remember that guy.
He was a different.
That guy was a
different type of person.
beast. Yeah,
and he just did not. The vibe was not right for him at Barley Swine.
No, somebody like asked him to like, hey, can you pick me some cilantro? And he's like, I don't do that. Like what?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So
I just asked you to help me with my station. You want to stop?
Those types of people, and he's an older guy.
Yeah,
he'd worked in a lot of kitchens, but that really just comes down to the vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
The people. I have a crew of people, and at this point, if you have normal, comparable cooking skills, I can teach you how to do something.
Yeah, of course.
I can teach you how to do whatever I need you to do.
Yeah.
But more importantly is I need you to be able to be a part of this group of people.
And fit in,
this team.
And like fit the vibe and like understand
for sure
where you're at. And yeah.
So yeah, I always laugh because I look, and no offense to anybody that has worked or currently works at Barley Swine, but when we opened the new restaurant, the level of talent that we had as far as cooks in the kitchen far surpasses what is in that kitchen right now.
Oh, I've heard stories. I mean, I used to go to that place. Those cooks were
hardcore
insane.
cooks.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was no teamwork.
Really? Oh, so the vibe was a little more
Compared
cutthroat,
to-
kind of like
The vibe
Dog
was
eat
very
dog kinda
cutthroat, dog eat dog.
Really?
I don't necessarily want you to fuck up, but when you fuck up, I'm ready to take your spot.
oh shit. So people were like vying for positions and shit. Like that?
Um,
I mean, that's kind of the way it was before the pandemic.
That's the
anyway.
way that they worked
Everywhere.
Whereas now it's like, I like to say I got a big group of nerds. I got a big group of nerds, but there's no egos.
No, there's no.
Everybody just comes in, they do their job, and we all help each other.
Yeah,
And
it's a very helpful crew.
We
like-
make really good food,
Mhm.
as good of barley swine food as there's ever been.
Yeah.
But if you took those cooks individual, one-on-one in a cooking competition,
Yeah, those guys.
those
yeah.
guys that we worked back in the day were
Uh-huh.
much higher skilled.
Now, do you think that was something that you guys cultivated, or was that just because that's just the way that it was before the pandemic? Like it just.
It might have been just a little bit, like probably a lot of both, because yes, it was very high demanding as far as the
It was very
techniques.
intense in there.
And yeah,
At
it
the old
definitely
Barley Swine, I
was.
mean.
It
I mean,
definitely was.
Right now, it's so like everybody's goofing off and like joking, but getting their work done at the same time. You're screaming at the top of your lungs, and like everybody's
Who
having
knows?
these little side jokes.
Who knows
and shit.
what's yeah.
But back in the day at the old place, it was head down, music's at like a reasonable volume, head down. Everybody's like you said, chopping. All you hear is just chopping,
Yeah.
silence, complete silence. Chef
Yeah,
comes in,
and that
"Hey,
was
chef, hey,
definitely a
chef."
different time. I don't think we could run the kitchen like that now
No,
and
yeah.
have a successful kitchen.
Yeah.
It's also twice as big.
That's
It's
true.
it's a lot easier to be more meticulous with things when you've only got 3 people to kind of
That's
manage.
true. Yeah.
Whereas if Alexa and I have to manage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cooks for service,
Uh huh.
it's a lot different than looking at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
figuring out what you can do with the staff you have also is kind of the most important, because
Balancing act kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
would I love to have a bunch of people who are like want to be Michelin star chefs one day? That'd be great. But also,
shrimps and
who
shit.
knows? That could just be eight guys trying to fucking show how big their dicks are.
True.
And
Comparing
it's
knives
a
and
complete shit
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
It's
for
a complete.
sure.
I'm very happy with what we have right now.
For sure.
We've got a good group of people. We're doing some really good food.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I think people enjoy coming to work.
Yeah. I mean, I had the new fish dish. It's great. It's like a sleeper hit, I think. I was not expecting it to be. This is not a. I'm not saying it wasn't. I wasn't expecting it to be good, but I read it and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then I got it. I was like, what the fuck? It's kind of like comes out of nowhere and punches you. It's great. But I guess I was gonna ask as like a final question is like, do you think that having to deal with all that kind of stuff has like sort of affected the capabilities of the restaurant? I guess like not the capabilities, because you guys are still putting out amazing shit. I mean, even if you and Alexa and Bryce are having to work the line, but I'm saying, does that sort of hamper the development that you guys the direction you want to go?
Yes and no. It's tough because like
Because you don't have time to develop the dishes. Or
part of it is there's like satisfying yourself with like the dish that you want to make, right? There's some of it depends on like what's going on. The whole reason that chamomile broth is there is because last year I bought way too much chamomile and it's dried and sitting in jars, and then
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is.
it happened. Then
Okay.
chamomile came around this year, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, "Holy crap, we haven't even used all of this other chamomile yet."
Uh-huh.
So I forced the bar to use it. I said, "I don't care what you guys do.
Okay.
Make a chamomile drink.
Yeah.
Here's the chamomile. It's dried chamomile. Here it is." And so that's where that dish came from. Was literally like,
Just
"Oh, I
necessity.
need to use these products."
Yeah. That's a great way to.
Figuring
Find a
out
dish, I
what
think.
your cooks are capable of.
Uh huh.
Because there's no point in asking somebody to do something that they're not good enough to do.
Yeah.
So creating that sort of scenario, but then also, unfortunately, we have to deal with dietary restrictions.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so you got to limit.
And so there's only so much that you can do, like the garden puff. It's a pat of choux,
Yeah.
but instead of using milk, we're using beer because it's
Okay.
barley swine and it
Oh, I
works
see.
with the
Okay.
beer and all that sort of
Uh-huh.
stuff. But
Yeah.
also, it's dairy free, except for the butter.
Oh, okay.
So anytime there's a dairy free person,
You just go, oh.
we can still serve them that, and we
Yeah.
don't have to make another thing for it.
Mhm.
So it's like it's catering to the clientele as well, and like the way that things are going in Austin is very conscious of food allergies, and that's just kind of in
Yeah, for
general.
sure. It's a
The
nightmare.
restaurants in general, there's people are always constantly asking if you have any food sensitivities or food allergies.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't want to make dishes that are like completely hypoallergenic, but like, sure, can you do something without having the gluten in it? Does it need to be this? Can it be that?
That could make it more interesting. I mean,
And that, yeah, sometimes it can make
that's
it
pretty
more
cool. I
interesting.
mean, that sounds like fuck, what are you calling it? The it factor, the
wild card.
the wild card. So like that is kind of a barley swine wild card. Instead of using, butter and milk, you use beer, and that becomes like a beer pat of choux. That's wild.
I mean, the kimchi, the pancake that you
Uh-huh.
had on your birthday, that recipe is an old recipe that I did, that I made a French crepe recipe, but added the kimchi, radish kimchi as like sort of the liquid for it.
Uh-huh.
So if you look at the base recipe that I did 4 years ago, it's eggs, milk,
Yeah.
flour, a little bit of sugar, salt, and the kimchi.
Yeah.
It's very much a French crepe recipe.
Mm-hmm.
And this one that you ate this time, similar, but I reworked it a bunch and then ended up putting potato starch in it. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
totally gluten-free. And I didn't do it because I wanted it to not have gluten in it, so didn't have to deal with that. I did it because I wanted the chewiness from the starches as opposed to like
Okay.
the structure from the gluten. But it gives off a much more sort of like authentic Asian-y vibe, having the starch and that chewiness to
Yeah.
it.
The chew's great. Yeah. So it's just happy
But it
accident that
came
it's
from
gluten-free.
something else. It just happenstance that it's gluten-free. But then the questions become, do you take the milk out and just make it actually gluten-free and dairy-free, and then you
Yeah.
don't have to have a tortilla substitution for it? Or do you just
Yeah.
keep it because you like it?
But at that point, is it just about what's delicious or what's viable?
It's going to
Yeah.
be easiest or the least resistance, you know. Have I thought about putting something that's not milk in it? Yeah. But it's not chili season, so we don't have all the chili brine yet. I don't know I'm not going to put water. I'm not going to replace milk with water. That's
Yeah.
no.
That's true. Yeah.
That's not going to have the flavor. It's not going to
Yeah.
have the so
That's interesting.
that's kind of where it's a puzzle, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like a weird like 3D puzzle of figuring out like, okay, let's say I hire 3 new cooks all at once. I'm not going to put some very super complicated like
Yeah, you're gonna let
things
them
that
settle
have
in
to
a little
no.
bit.
I need to give them stuff that I know they can do, and then build it up from there. You know, if I've got a whole crew of people that have been there for a long time, yeah, let's push it. You can make this dish as hard as you want to on yourself, Braden. You're the one who's going to be prepping it and picking it and plating it every day.
Shout out Braden.
So yeah, shout out Braden. If if you're making the dish and you're going to be the one putting all the effort into it, and you're going to
Yeah,
be the
make
one
it-
making it,
go
you can
crazy
make
with
it
it.
as hard or as easy as you want to it, as
Yeah.
long as it's delicious.
Yeah. That's true. Okay.
So
Interesting.
it kind of works out in big 3D puzzle. What ingredients are available?
Yeah, I don't know how you deal with that nightmare. I'm just getting into it, and it's a fucking nightmare.
It's definitely interesting, especially when you focus on like seasonal farm to table products, and you're not just ordering produce from one purveyor who's just got a warehouse full of stuff and it all looks exactly the same. No, because even if you can get the same product, maybe it's from a different farm and the sugar content's completely different, or
it all tastes different. Yeah.
or it's not 2 inches around zucchini like it was. It's a fucking big old monster 4-inch thing, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah.
This doesn't work for what we were gonna do. Well, how can we adapt it? How can we change it? There's all sorts of dealing with that, especially with this produce again, where it's like there's only 2 seasons here.
Mm-hmm.
So finding people that you like, finding the products that you like, and just keep going with those products is all part of the puzzle.
Yeah, and keeping it interesting.
And keeping it interesting for yourself and the guests.
Yeah, because you have a lot of repeat customers, Bob and Michael, just to name 2, who come in so frequently. They know what you did last year and last month and the years before that. They know everything. Yeah, so that's true.
So it's there, and there's also finding the balance of do you want to do a dish that you know is really good that you've done before that people are going to be excited to have again?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do something different and push yourself? Yeah. It also, I mean, it all depends on staffing, where you're at in your own life.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're like, man, I just got beat down for a long time, I want to take a vacation. You're not coming up with anything that's going to be cool and inspiring as far as your food goes. You know, you're like,
you're just trying to survive.
No, I'm ready. Oh, this dish has to change because these ingredients aren't available anymore. Sweet. I've got a lot of inspiration for this dish. Who knows? Maybe you come up with something that I'm working on something right now that was literally an easy dish that I wanted to go to that Bryce did a long time ago. And I was like, okay, I can do a couple of these things. This is techniques that I know and are easy. We'll tweak it a little bit. And that was the kohlrabi on the spoon.
Oh, yeah. That was delicious,
dumpling.
by the way. Yeah. I've had it a bunch, but
and then
different on the tasting.
Now it's sort of
evolved.
Kohlrabi's done, so now we're using zucchini on it.
Well,
Still
it used
has
to be
a little goat cheese dumpling in there.
It used to be potato. Remember that? Well, remember it started out as a little pickled potato.
That's
dumpling,
a whole nother,
and then it moved on to the spoon, and then it kind of evolved, yeah.
And then now I was looking at going all the way back to like the original like way that we plated that first dish of these kohlrabi dumplings, but doing it with a dill soup that Steven made for family meal just the other day.
Oh, nice.
And for me, it was like he just made it because him and Olivia made a Polish dish, a Polish lunch. So it's a chilled dill soup. It's thickened with just vegetables and potatoes,
which are plentiful right now.
And finally we have a fucking season where it's not just greens. So we have all these vegetables and stuff. The dish, the like zucchini and the mustard cream are like, it's fine, right? But it's like it's not very summery. Yeah. So he made this dish for family meal, and I was like, okay, you're using potatoes. You use celery, which I have way too much of in the walk-in right now. Potatoes are in season. I don't like the sauce that's going on this other dish. I want to change it to like a plated dish anyways. Steven, talk to me about this Polish dill soup that you made. How did you make this? And yeah, I'm probably going to work it. Maybe Bryce doesn't end up wanting to do it, but that's where the inspiration for the next thing that I'm going to work on is.
That's great. Family meal.
Goat cheese and zucchini is like a fairly common flavor combination for barley swine. There was an old dish back in the day with the seeds that we used to call the panty dropper because Bryce made it, and fuck, the ladies loved that shit. It was an a la carte dish, and we served so many of them.
What was it? Just zucchini?
It was a cured zucchini that we would sear one side.
This is the one you told me about when I first started. You were like, I'm going to show you the barley swine way.
You've seen you've seen it in many different iterations of it. But yeah, so the zucchini with the goat cheese, very Bryce, very barley swine. And I'm going to make it a little summery, nice chilled soup. So Yeah, inspiration can come from everywhere. It can also come from, I don't know what to do with stuff, but you just made this thing that had ingredients that are currently available, so let's plug and chug. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So,
yeah, there you go. All right. Well, last question, I guess. What are you guys excited for? What are you excited for the coming future? You and Goose just did a little pop up and stuff.
we did a little collab at Uchiko. That was great. Honestly, that was the funnest part because I didn't have to be the boss there.
Oh, so you're just walking around like.
I didn't have to
Singing
make
Disney
sure
music?
that the dining room was ready or that the service staff was ready or
Yeah,
that
so
the food was
all you have to
cooked
concentrate on
or
the
that
food.
we had the plates. I
Were
just
they
got to
executing
cook.
your food, or did you have?
No,
to cook?
I just cooked it. I just cooked my food.
Okay, cool.
There was like 5 of us to do this 24-person dinner.
Oh, that's all it was? I thought it was the whole restaurant.
No, it was
Oh,
just
that's easy.
in their
Yeah,
private
that's-
dining room.
Nice. Well, that's
Private
cool.
dining room. They
Yeah.
made half the dishes. We made half the dishes.
Uh-huh.
Plus, the pastry chef was there, so Goose was there.
Oh.
So I didn't even have to come up with the dessert.
Nice.
So it was great. I made sopes. I made tortillas. I finally did the shrimp head taco that I wanted to do.
Oh, you finally did it?
Yeah, I did
Nice.
it. We did 24 of them, and I said, Jesus Christ, this would suck to do 100 of these every night.
That's funny. Yeah,
Um,
speaking of shrimp, you did you have to do the shrimp, or did you make Hunter do it, or Ethan?
No, so they had the shrimp heads at their restaurant. I
Oh.
peeled them.
Okay.
But
Oh, you did
I
it?
peeled like 30 of them. It wasn't, and there was just the heads. But then I just handed them to their tempura guy, and I was like, "Hey man, we're doing a taco. Can you just tempura these for me?" And he's like, because he's like so deep in the weeds of tempura.
Oh,
That
yeah.
whole station, man, going into Uchiko was crazy.
Yeah.
They were on par to do like 500 people on a Sunday.
Wait, they were doing service at the same time?
Yep, regular service.
Holy shit.
That place is nuts. When we got there around 3:00, there's like 10 prep cooks just smashed around 2 tables, just cranking out this prep, and they just
Holy
put it all,
shit.
give it all to the line cooks, and then the line cooks just get bent over for the first 2 hours for happy hour.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Oh my
like
gosh, it
everybody
was
goes
so
happy
crazy.
hour.
I felt so bad. I'm on there and I'm just listening to fire, 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 and I'm just like trying to cook my tortillas, and I'm just like trying to keep my elbows in and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
stay out of
as
these
small
guys'
as
ways
possible.
because they just getting hammered on all this
Oh,
food.
man.
But it was great because I didn't have to be the boss. I just got to cook some food.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have to tell anybody what to do.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. But things that I'm looking forward to. Bryce is definitely pushing me doing a little more events or things like this podcast, get my name out there a little bit more, put me as more of the face of the restaurant.
Word.
Who knows what sort of
Sick.
things come in the future. We've had some interesting conversations, and what I've kind of learned is that like he bounces around some ideas, but when he's talked to you about something like a couple times, then you go, okay, this is going to happen now. So we'll see what's going to happen for me. It's very open-ended. I think right now one of my favorite things is just working with people and working with the cooks and teaching them that you can cook good, and you can cook at a higher level than you think you can. And you can be much more cleaner and organized, and you can do everything better than what you think you can, and it's really not
That's
that
awesome.
hard.
Yeah.
But like for me, like working with Braden on making dishes for the menu, because I've been making the Barley Swine food for 4 years now, where it's been like me as the making the dishes as the chef de cuisine. The only thing is the seasons don't change here.
No, he had the
There's
same thing.
so
same
like you can
time.
do, or you can reach out a little bit and get a little bit more, but then you find mesquite flour for a couple years, and then all of a
And it's
sudden
disappeared. Where
and
is
then
it?
there's no
Can't
more.
find
This
it.
guy doesn't exist anymore. He doesn't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
this ingredient that you might have been excited for isn't a thing anymore. So
Yeah.
sourcing new ingredients is very exciting. Fuck, cherries. Last year when Farm to Table got the cherries, it was like, holy shit. I've been down in Texas for 10 years.
And now-
I have never once seen anyone say Texas cherry yes, this is exciting. I want to do so many different things with it. What can I do with this cherry? Okay, you only get 5 pounds.
Which is nowhere near
Shit.
enough to do anything with.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we learn. We'll get some this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, working with them, when I go talk to regulars and they're like, oh man, that duck dish was so good. And I said, that's Braden's dish.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do anything for that. Braden made that.
Nice.
That's, for me, the kind of the most rewarding. Like, I've line cooked. I've fucking had that. I remember Crust was saying how she just loves I'll just give my sous chef relief. He's got a line cook that can be capable and he doesn't have to worry about them over here. And that's me. I can do that. And so it's kind of fun as you get to that point where it's like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't want to be the chef anymore, but like those days where you get to just like work with people or see somebody grow or like let your sous chef do what they do and you do take the backseat burner on it because it's fun to see those people grow and develop and learn things. Yeah. Last weekend, David was out, the dishwasher. I called in TJ one night. He called back. David called me the next day or 11 o'clock that night. He was like, hey, that's no good. I can't do it again tomorrow. I won't be there again tomorrow. And it's like, all right, we don't have a lot of covers on. I called my people that could come in. There's not coming in. I'm going to be the dishwasher tonight.
You were
And I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be the dishwasher. And I'm just going to like wash dishes. It's going to be a nice clean dish pit. I realized that, man, we don't use a lot of fucking pots and pans right now because everything's just put it in the oven or the pasta. And that's it. There's not a lot of like, because I remember dishwashing and like you go out to that saute pretty and you just pick up 20 pans at a time. Yeah. It's like that's not where the menu's at currently. So it's kind of nice. It's pretty chill back there in the dish pit right now.
David's loving it. Just eating snacks back there.
David's having a good old time.
Shit. Yeah, for
but
sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're excited for Bryce's his farm. Like, what is
the farm is great. Yeah,
how far is that out from you being able to?
So he just brought this week. He brought a bunch of radishes.
Okay.
So
all right.
The farmer that he hired to run the farm for him just had a bunch of radish seeds. So they just seeded some rows just to kind of get the ball rolling on stuff. And so now they're picking them. And Bryce is super. He sent me a picture of his hand with a radish in it, and it's the whole radish, including the greens, is like smaller than his finger.
Okay.
And he's like, I got a whole bunch of these. So he brought some to Barley Swines. He's got a whole bunch of the restaurant. No, actually, they're so cute and so tiny. I want to serve them like whole. Like I don't want to like just slice them. Yeah. Right. And I am obsessed with making kimchis and things right now. So since apples and pears aren't in season, we have peaches. So I'm going to do a white kimchi.
With peach?
With peach instead of the apple as the sweetness from it on a nice, whole, sexy little baby radish. I just came up with this idea two days ago when Bryce dumped a scallop box of these radishes on me, but I was like, you know what?
That's awesome.
I'm going to do this, and I'm going to see what peach kimchi comes out to. Because I think it should be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it should be pretty good.
So when is it going to be like a thing that you guys like incorporate into your lives? Like you're planning what he wants to produce and kind of work towards that. How long
man,
until
probably like next summer.
Oh, that's sooner than I thought. I thought you were going to say
think next summer. Well, because for Barley Swine, we can do smaller volumes of food.
That's true. Yeah.
So in order for him to produce
smaller amounts,
enough produce for odd duck, he'd have to have a shit ton.
But no, he's planning on just providing.
Having stuff for Barley Swine, I think it'll definitely come around to. Right now is just kind of getting the soil ready. This was like the first crops. I know he planted some peppers and tomatoes this year.
Oh, sick.
I think less for like having a quantity and more like figuring out where on the farm gets the sunlight that the tomatoes need, and all of those things, so that next year he'll be able to have a clear direction of what he wants to do and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know there's going to be plenty of peppers this year that he'll just end up probably bringing, and we'll see what happens, because I don't know what he's going to plant out there.
Oh, really?
I think right now it's just experiment with everything,
See what
he can do. But you can definitely tell that he has the spark that he had for cooking with this, like, growing and farming, because
That's awesome.
yeah, he's always had plants at his house, and he's talked to me about plants. And then, you know, when we have the once a year freeze here in Austin, everybody has to move all their plants inside.
Yeah.
And he said it's grown, it's filled up. He has like a fucking garage. Leave the car outside because all the plants have to fill up the garage.
Yeah.
And I've watched him kind of do that. And then his home garden, he's growing more stuff.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I see him at Odd Duck sometimes when I'm driving by, and he'll be out there trimming all the plants and stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely like, that's kind of his new thing that he's most interested in, for sure, which is great, because then it leaves me with, if I can get produce grown from a chef who knows what chef people, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
It can be pretty cool. So that could turn into a whole thing where maybe Barley Swine serves, you know, half of its produce, or maybe all of its produce
from farm.
His own farm.
Yeah.
Maybe we can grow specific things that are either very expensive to buy from other people, or kind of exclusive or pain in the ass to grow. So you don't want to grow it because again, it goes back to a farm is a business.
Yeah.
You have to sell the fruits of your labor, literally the fruits of your labor. And if you don't sell it, then you don't make any money, and you can't. So
yeah,
a farm can't just grow whatever the cool stuff that chefs want if it doesn't make the farm any money.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a kind of a situation where maybe we can grow some things that
are very specific and small and
money-making produce, but we're not paying for it in that respect for it, you know. We're getting it because it becomes exclusive to us, or exclusive because nobody else wants to grow it because it's a pain in the ass to grow and it's super low yielding. Or like, I think about this when I think about like grains and things, and people that grow grains or peas, like a regular farmer that grows like field peas that's going to then shuck those field peas. Or like, oh yeah, sure, we've got 500 pecan trees out here, but one person is working this shelling machine. That's why they cost $5 a pound more than the other people's, because I don't have a giant factory doing this. They're just pecans, but it costs me more to do it because I got to pay someone to do it, not just a big machine.
And it's a lot of fucking work. Yeah.
So that can be that sort of stuff where it's like, I see that kind of being the majority of what benefits us from the restaurant perspective of things that are either a pain in the ass to grow, very low fruiting, like yielding crops, or things that you want specifically. Like if you want okra and you need all the okra to be 2 inches long, you can pick them all at 2 inches long, and they can be consistently 2 inches.
Oh, okay.
Not just pick all the okra that's kind of ready.
Pick it all out. And then use the rest for whatever
specific sizes that you want and things like that.
That's crazy.
So that's all super open in the air too. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Yeah. Well, shit. I'm excited because I know this. It feels like Barley Swine has gone through so many different like evolutions. I mean, it was so exciting, and when it first started, of course, because it was like Bryce's baby, and it was so exciting and new, and this small little restaurant, and it was vibrant in there. And then you guys went to this larger restaurant format, and now it's like one of the most exciting, tasty menus that no one knows about. You know, it feels like it's an underground gem. And now it's cool that you guys are going to transition to an actual restaurant with a farm, kind of like Blue Hill, in the sense that you'll be cultivating your own food.
For sure.
It's going to be a wild.
And that's definitely like that's always been like the ethos of the restaurant. Because like back in the day, Bryce, when I got hired, we didn't do all these orders from farmers. We went to the farmers markets because the farmers markets were bussin', as the kids say these days. And we just filled up the truck with stuff. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to do this. No, we just need to get some carrots. We need to get some of these. No, don't get those carrots. This guy's got the best carrots. We're going to go buy all of his carrots. And that's what we did. And that's definitely changed. The farmers have changed.
Oh, yeah.
The farmers markets are a lot less farmers market and more just crafty markets.
Oh, yeah, I know. Mueller's a mess. It's just fucking jewelry and shit. It's just dumb.
Yeah, so that whole thing has changed, but it's always been a very, like, produce-driven thing. And now I work with the farms that I like, that I think grow the best produce. And I still see us needing to do that in the future, even if we have a whole farm that does grow, because I don't think it's going to grow enough of a variety or quantity to really like sustain us. But also is like part of having a restaurant that serves local food is there has to be farmers and ranchers to produce that food for you. Because if they're not producing that food, you don't have that option anymore. So
yeah,
there's a lot of younger farmers that are like, in their 30s, my generation of people that are starting their farms now, that, yes, I want to support you.
So that you can grow with us.
You can grow and you can have stuff, and that people will continue to farm.
Yeah.
Boggy Creek Farm, Carol Ann she's getting up there. She's not the one out in the field bent over picking up the vegetables anymore.
Yeah.
And so to see her daughter taking the business side of that farm forward, and her grandson taking the farming part of that forward, is like, yes, I will come here. Cool. Yeah. I will drive all the way down airport.
Yeah.
Take a 30-minute drive to come down to this farm, wait in line, and fight these old ladies for this produce because I want you to be here in 10 years, 20 years, however long you guys want to keep doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of the biggest thing, Barley Swine supporting local farmers.
Yeah. Bryce has been really good about that. Like, that restaurant has literally saved farmers and helped them expand.
For sure.
It's wild.
For sure. I like to say when people are like, oh yeah, so farm to table, you guys do like farm to table food? And I was like, no, we support local farmers.
That's a better way to put it, yeah.
Because you can everything comes from a farm. Some farm somewhere, something.
Yeah.
I buy what these local farmers have. If they look at me and they say, I have too much of this, I'm going to say, I will do what I can to help you with that.
Yeah.
I'll buy as much as I can. I'll process as much as I can. Yeah. I'm not going to buy 100 pounds of habaneros because there's no way you can do anything with that much spice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you planted 5 rows of habaneros, but maybe next year don't do that.
Yeah.
I'll take 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good luck. Little bit off
good luck with that 100 pounds.
Yeah. God damn.
I'll take 10.
Yeah. I remember the last time I was there, you had like I don't remember what it was. It was like 3 cases of something, and I was like, "What happened? Why did we get so many cases of this?" And Alexa was like, "Oh, because the farm pulled it early because of the frost. They were worried that it wasn't going to survive." And you were like, "Okay, I'll buy 3 cases of this, and we'll have it." Yep. I don't remember what it was, but yeah.
And that's part of the game too. Is just like people, and they'll tell you, "Hey, we're harvesting everything, so if you want it, get it now." It's the reason why I have so much celery in the restaurant. Too much celery.
Yeah.
I had to get it because he said it's going to bolt where it's getting too hot.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to cut it all. How much do you want? All right. I want a lot. 3. And then that was way too much.
3 cases.
And the dish is changing, but now I got to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've got magical things like kimchi and pickles that we can just turn things into and they can sit in the walk-in. till like something comes around and you use it.
And you use it. Yeah, that's the best part is having the larder. All right,
Exactly.
well, that's a good way to end it. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you coming on and telling your story.
Of course.
From hot dogs to Barley's.
Hot dogs to Barley's.
That can be the name of the
That's
episode.
the name of the episode.
It could also be the name of your restaurant or your pop up.
Perfect.
Yeah, from hot dogs to Barley's.